welcome to the fifth and final round here of the Nordic Challenge live on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Sorry, the fourth and final round, actually, the Nordic Challenge coming up here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Rich Whiteford and Jake Sperry with you live for tonight's event. And well, folks, it's going to be a fantastic fun round. Night racing here at Spa-Francorchamps is always exciting. And well, this presents us with a unique set of challenges, Jake.
It certainly does. The last time we were here on RaceSpotTV with a night race at Spa-Francorchamps, it was the DGFX 6 hours of Spa, and well, that threw in a whole heap of consequences and sensational action. I expect more of the same here from these of the Scandinavia region.
There's, of course, the guys from Finland leading the way in the points by a considerable margin. They've had a very good time of things so far in this one. Looking at our points we have available, Finland 895 with Norway on 657, Sweden 434, 135 for Denmark, and still 0 for poor old Iceland.
Yeah, and you can see here that Finland have pretty much secured that championship, barring miracles here in the final round. Worth also talking about is, of course, that Drivers' Championship that is still up for grabs and can be decided here today, Rachel, because we've got 3 drivers all with a chance of winning.
It certainly could, and of course, a DQ could definitely affect that one. DQ disqualification limit in this race 23, and we know how easy it is to get off tracks here at Spa, Jake. These guys could rack up some serious points, and if they're not careful, well, that could result in being disqualified late in the race. And that could split our way for the win, of course. Ericsson also in a position where they could actually affect this one as well. Carl Fredrik Herzog also could be potentially in there somehow.
I believe it's Hietala that you're looking for there, Rachel, in terms of that. Jussi Hietala second in the championship, third is that driver of Kim Eriksson. And well, it's going to be a case here for Hietala. He's got to close up 21 points over this final race distance, Rachel, on a driver that has finished no lower than second in this championship so far. A disqualification is 0 points, or Joni Heikkinen must finish outside of the top 10, and Hietala has to take a victory.
Certainly is, of course, as the points stand. It is 50 for a win, second 45, third 42, 40, 38, 36, dropping 2 points every time. So of course that puts you in a position where you are looking for very small margins. Disqualification is almost the only way to close up that size of gap, Jake.
It is, and the field size isn't actually going to help this cause either, because it's only going to be a 15-car grid here, so dropped at the back of the 2/3. It's going to take quite a bit of work for Jussi Hietala to win, but of course he can win the battle all he wants, but he might not win the war.
Certainly, Jake. Very ominous statement there from you, but let's not forget our sponsors here for this one, and providing some fantastic prizes for the winners, including some random points paying position finishes. They are Race Speedglass, they are CEU, and Team Vikings. We'll talk more about those series sponsors during the race, but for now, qualifying has been set. So we're simply waiting for warm-up to end here, Jake. We are 9 minutes into this 10-minute warm-up. We'll get your grid for you in just a second, and we'll go through that one. And then we have 45 minutes of racing here around this iconic circuit.
45 minutes, 1 pit stop is to be required in this series, and a narrow pit road with the Grand Prix layout as I see things at the moment. So that is going to be helpful for quite a few drivers. I just see Juko Leskala just get a little bit of a twitch coming out of pit road. It can be as difficult as that. But 2 distinct parts of the circuit, Rachel, 2 distinct differences on this circuit can mean setting up the car is a real nightmare.
Certainly can be, but it's one Porsche driver should be intimately familiar with. This track is very well known, but the conditions of driving at night just a little trickier. Everything seems to move from where you last left it, Jake.
It does here. Practice is over as things stand, Rachel, so we can head to the grid.
We certainly can. We'll have to wait, of course, till that will show for us. But as soon as it does, which is now, we'll go through your starting grid. On the pole today, Joni Heikkinen, who is one of your points leaders, if not the points leader. Juuso Hietala in second place, with Mikko Nurmi in third. Carl Fredrik Herzog in fourth. Jonas Osan Pahaka in the fifth spot. Juko Leskala I keep ruining these names, I apologize. Jonas Ovastamaki in 7th place, with Janovic in the 8th spot. Svensson and my phone in P9. Salvinson in 10th place. Nyborg in 11th. Berge in 12th. Burns in the 13th spot, with Mullerberg and Ericsson bringing up the rear.
Very surprising to see Kim Ericsson at the back of the field for this one here, Rachel. He will need to try and make his way back through the field. But the big issue is going to be that he doesn't have too much traffic to deal with over the course of this 45-minute race.
That is very true, and of course, running down the time now. We're about to get ready to go green for this one. And well, the engine's rev for the start of round number 4, the 4th and final round. Green flag flies. Away we go, charging down to La Source, corner number 1. Cars funnel into the first corner here. And it's 3 of the Black Star Racing machines out front from the Finland camp. Good run from them. Herzog still in the 4th spot. Häkkinen, Hitala and Nurmi out front at the moment as they run up towards Rouge Radion here. Climbing up onto the Kemmel Straight will come this train of Porsches in the pitch darkness that is Spa-Francorchamps. No circuit lighting here, it's all based on those headlights at the moment, Jake. Already some drafting a little bit further back in the pack. I believe that is Lescala trying to make a move here to the outside of Parker.
He is here trying to go around the outside of Dali Jankovic even as they get on the brakes. Contact a little bit further behind. Vastamarki then will have to take to the escape route, shall we say, over the grass and back through. Ericsson then will dive his way past the driver of Joachim Svensson then to get himself back through at the rear of your field. It's all kicking off. Patrick Nyborg now looking to go down the inside of Vastamarki, but it's a very difficult one around Ravage to make that one stick for Vastamarki. He has, though, inside for the corner with no name.
He certainly does have the inside for the corner with no name, and in fact he's clear before that. As Vastamarki will back down a little bit here as a run down towards Pouillon. As lots of smoke being kicked up here, actually. Not what we're expecting to see at that point. I think there's dust being kicked up on the inside. Out front still Häkkinen with a good lead now, breaking out to about a second and a half over teammates Hitala and Nurmi. Herzog dropping back a little bit in that 4th spot. In fact, as he has been passed for that position by Bahaka, moving himself up to the 4th spot there, actually in the early running. Vastamarki back in 7th with Jankovic in the 8th spot. Svensson 9th, 10th place is Salvinson. Field shaking itself up a bit here, Jake, in the early running, but Kim Ericsson moving his way forwards actually already. He's up, I think he's had the top 10.
Yeah, I think he is, and he's making very quick progress, very efficiently as well. Ericsson's not making any moves here around this circuit that are putting his car in danger. Very different to what you'd see at Zolder in the Blancpain in GT series that we saw just a couple of hours ago, Rachel. You've got to be very conservative around this circuit. You can't really risk too much moves as Svensson's still trying to go side by side with Vastamarki, who makes his way through. The answer for Kim Ericsson is he's already up into 8th position in the early goings. Dali Jankovic now the next driver up on his hit list.
And he's right in there behind him, Jake, at this point. Ericsson perhaps toying with everybody not qualifying there. Happy to sit at the back and go for this one early on. He's making his way through the field in very short order. Rest of the field not too far ahead, so still within attacking range, especially considering the speed we've seen from that car so far. Out front, the gap over a second for your leader, Joni Häkkinen. Another clear performance from him. Hitala and Nurmi still close together here, about half a second apart. Bahaka back in the 4th spot with Herzog in 5th. Catching up to 4th place, Bahaka here, Jake. We'll look back at what we've got going on. As your car goes off, Ericsson runs wide there to the first part of the chicane. Not a good one for him. The tyres will be dirty, but he keeps his position.
Does just about, but he'll have to serve the slowdown. And there goes one position to go through in the form of Kim Salvinson. He will hold the inside line though to try and attack back again. Corner with no name comes up next then for the driver of Kim Ericsson. Ericsson will hold on to that position as things stand. A lot more power taken through that corner, but that's the margin for error here. 5 meters here or there, and you can miss that apex and miss the entire corner down at Les Combes and Malmedy. So for Kim Ericsson, there's the warning shot for him. Calm down. He doesn't have to do everything so aggressively so early on.
Certainly is there as Ericsson just running wide there behind Jankovic, who is trying to get through ahead of him. That group, probably the closest battle we have on track right now. Ericsson trying to make his way back forwards here with Dali Jankovic to try and make that position up on track. as he does his best to try and make up some track time. He's got a good run here as I can head towards Blanchimont, Jake.
Blanchimont's an incredibly difficult corner to go too wide at, so he'll send it to the inside, give himself the easier job of the two. Don't run wide at any given opportunity. In fact, Jankovic will back out of it there, was not confident enough to really send that one too wide through a one-line suits-all corner. Maybe in a Formula car you could be able to hold that too wide. Not in this machine. Kim Eriksson will take that position and move up into position number 7.
He certainly will move him up into 7th already, halfway up the field. By the end of lap number 2 here, completion there of that lap. On to lap number 3, just ahead of them actually, Leskala and Herzog getting close together. Leskala is actually catching up here, Jake. The 3 of them actually starting to come down together. Both of them gaining really on Pohaka, so we could see a battle here for your 4th, 5th and 6th spots forming.
We could here, but the times are very, very similar between all 3 of them. A 2:21.6 from Pohaka, a 2:21.6 from Herzog, a 2:21.5 from Žuko Leskala. Leskala's got to close in 8/10 of a second, doing it at a 10th a lap. By my reckoning, he won't catch too much in the next few stages, but I want to keep an eye out on the race leaders here because Joni Heikkinen did a 2:19.8 that last time, by the only man to break into that 2:19 barrier. Jussi Hietala running a 2:20.4. He can't win the championship if he finishes behind Joni Heikkinen.
Certainly can't, but well, Heikkinen's been almost unbeatable so far this season. Fantastic performance from him in this championship so far. Man, it really has the Porsche dialed down here in a fantastic way. Yeah, he'll work his way down. Sorry, Jake, as they come down through Bouillon.
Yeah, he really does have that car dialed down, that Porsche 911. It's a very pernickety car. It suits a certain driving style, and I think Joni Heikkinen has completely encapsulated what it takes to be a Porsche 911 driver here on the iRacing service. I think that Heikkinen's done very well. The driver that he did lose out to last time out was the driver of Kim Eriksson. So for Eriksson's charges through the field, it will be about how Kim Eriksson will deal with this, because he has an outside shot, but of course missed 1 race this season. So in a 4-race season, missing 1 race is almost punishable by death.
It certainly is, as Kimi Salvesen is catching up behind him right now. Actually, it's not him he's catching Jankovic as well. Jankovic slipping back now in terms of time, as Vastamaki and Salvesen are really closing those gaps here. Salvesen looking like he could be going to strike on Jankovic, possibly at the bus stop here, or perhaps in a run into turn number 1. The source, Jake. That orange Porsche really catching up behind him.
He is, but of course that gap is about 4/10 of a second here. What a horrible chicane this is. Right then left, off camber, up the hill into that left-hander. It just screams you to just wait and wait and wait and wait and then put on the power. No, we won't be close enough into turn number 1. Actually lifts off a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit of lift and coast coming into play then. And the strategy's also being at hand for Kim Salvesen. Salvesen will stay behind. A good run up through Eau Rouge and Radiol might set up a run down to Lake Coombs. Is in range if he can really nail this section. Left, then the right up the hill, and then the left to Radiol, and that is a very dangerous corner. I've been caught out myself in my racing career, and Salvesen now tucks him right underneath, moves to the outside.
Goes for an outside pass here into the chicane at the end of the Camel. Will not have chance to go for it, we don't think. And as he goes deep on the brakes, he does and gets it turned in, but he carries too much speed and off he goes. That looks too late and too deep, Jake, for me. Turns out it was right, as he spends an embarrassing amount of time there in the grass before rejoining after dropping 2 spots.
Well, Kim Salvesen couldn't salvage that one out of the memories of many people watching this one around the world. So for Kim Salvesen, he'll drop himself now down behind Patrick Nyborg, so that is position number 12 on circuit. He now falls to outside of your top 10. That's not going to be doing him any favours. He's lit up the tyres now, and he's got to be very careful about how he tackles the next half a lap or so. It's very difficult driving in night conditions here, Rachel, because, you know, some say that, you know, things move from where you last put them. You're actually a little bit more obscured. You can't see what is naturally in front of you. You're having to use your sense a little bit more, maybe a little bit more luck and judgment, rather than just relying on hoping that the corner's there.
Absolutely, and as this one stands, you know, these guys know this track intimately, but nighttime driving here is still a unique challenge, even when you know the track very well. Things just aren't quite as visible, so it makes it much more difficult for these guys to spot what's coming up, of course, but we'll look back at our timings. Tala and Nurmi separated by a couple of tenths here as they head to the final part of the bus stop. Second and third place have dropped a lot of time here to your leaders. 3.4 seconds now back behind Häkkinen. Incredible gap he's pulled out already in only 5 laps so far. The gap between these two though, Jake, it is about half a second. They've managed to maintain their gap fairly well. Puhaka has pulled his gap out over Carl Fredrik Herzog, and, well, Leskela has caught up to Herzog, so we could see this one going on for P5.
We could do here, and that gap being 0.6 of a second would require a good run. That run isn't quite good enough to make something happen for Mikko Nurmi, though, in the 76. He is right underneath Juuso Hietala. Will he be able to make a move? Is he close enough? No, he is not. He wasn't able to position that car in a way to send one down the inside at Leikum. Surprisingly quicker than you think it is, but wasn't just able to make that happen. Leskela also will be looking to try and just work those next few laps, but they have to be worried about that vehicle behind them, that 79 Black Star Racing driver of Kim Eriksson. They're just waiting in the wings, in the popcorn position, trying to make sure that he gets himself back into this one. A full car train now developing here for positions numbers 4 back to 7.
Destiny is Jake at the moment, and perhaps are coming down, but perhaps not enough for some of these guys. Look at about 10 minutes into this one, so coming up on basically a quarter of this race distance in a few moments. As this one stands, Leskela hasn't made the ground on Herzog that he wanted. Eriksson's closing the gap up. He's only 2 seconds behind him. The time he's making is huge. Last time by for him was a 21.4. The guys ahead of him do 22 ones, about average, so, well, they're being caught by half a second a lap, so not going to be long before we'll see Eriksson dicing with these 3 here. That could definitely make things very entertaining.
It can, but for Kim Eriksson, he shouldn't be in a position where he's fighting these drivers. P15 out of a plausible 15 is not good enough for Kim Eriksson if he wants to fight for a championship. He's decided to stay at the back, not get involved in this type of fight between Häkkinen and Hietala, even though he had a chance. And the question is going to be for Kim Eriksson, could he have affected things at the front? The question that I'd argue is actually no, because he's running 0.4 of a second slower than the drivers in P2, P3 in the forms of Hietala and also Mikko Nurmi. That gap stays at half a second between them. But it's a 2:20.9 that last time by. That's a much better lap time. Takes another 0.7 of a second out of Leskela. Brings that gap down to just under a second. He's now in that train. And now because he's in that train, everyone has the same advantage.
Yeah, certainly is. He has the draft now, which will be a big impact. But passing a train of cars in the draft, we've seen that at Bathurst. Not as easy as passing the leader in that train of drafting cars, Jake. So how we want to keep our eyes on. Leskela getting up here on her, so we'll have to see if we can do anything with this. Dropping back behind them though, 8 seconds back from Eriksson is Dale Jankovic, running 23 flats, as are some of the back part of this field. So is Vastamaki, 24.8 last time by. Svensson, 24.2. Nyborg on a 24.2 as well, so the back of the field here really dropped off in pace from your mid-front pack. Say 4th place down to about 7th at the moment. Well, the speed difference there. Kim Eriksson at 2:20.9, which again is about, well, 6-7 tenths faster than the 3 ahead of him. This gap is going to be nothing inside a lap.
No, it won't be here, and that might be a case of seeing Kim Eriksson using a lot more fuel by trying to close down these gaps like Leskela, Herzog, Puheka as well. Jonas Puheka will be looking to try and make that breakaway, but hasn't been able to do so. In fact, made a mistake on that last lap. A 22.2 meets a 21.6, 0.6 of a second slower. And compared him to his last lap here, Rachel, that's a difference of about 0.3 of a second. He lost 0.6 of a second on his quickest lap. So maybe already the tyres just getting a little bit ingrained here. Cooler conditions, of course, means that maybe drivers feel a little bit more aggressive because they're in these conditions. But of course, the more aggressive you are on these tyres, the more that they wear out very quickly.
Very much so, of course, there is... they don't want to change it, of course, during those pit stops. We'll just look up ahead here at Leskela, who's really caught up to Herzog here. Could we see a dive into the bus stop? No, not going to go for it just yet.
Oh, mistake.
Oh, he does make a mistake there. Herzog makes a mistake, so round will go. You go, Leskela. Getting a free pass there as first in the pit. Yes, we have the first one. That's Jonas Pahaka onto pit road for his service. The window has just opened up, of course. But through will go Leskala and Ericsson over the car of Carl Fredrik Herzog. Mistaking the bus stop there, costing him a spot. But the early pit stop, though, from Pahaka, unexpected at this stage. He's really come in at the race start of that window.
Yeah, it's a very risky one at the start of the window. He's only managed to travel 14 minutes and 20 seconds into the stop, and that's about the limit you can come in as early as possible. Maybe he wasn't feeling too comfortable with the way that was going through. Herzog's lost the position into Kim Ericsson, so now it's Ericsson versus Leskala for position number 4, net out on circuit here. And for Kim Ericsson, it's a case of waiting here. Not going to be able to do it into Lacoum, or maybe have a look out of Malmedy down towards Rivage. Of course, Rivage's corner always falls away from you down the hill. Right-hander, 180-degree corner. Some say it's a hairpin. Others in America would say it's a carousel. Looks more like a carousel in my opinion in terms of the way that you round it. But again, Ericsson now needs to set up the second half of the lap. Maybe a good run coming out of corner Paul Frere will give him the good run towards Blanchimont.
Certainly could be, of course, running towards Blanchimont here. We'll see what he can do. As Ericsson getting a little bit sideways there, but not a lot. Making big ground here on Leskala as they'll run up towards the bus stop chicane now, towards the end of that lap. That's not the bus stop chicane. I'm looking completely the wrong place. They're actually coming down towards the Stavolos here, actually, at the end of this short stretch. He'll dive to the outside, actually, for the first Stavolo. Going to get a good run through the corner, gets a tighter exit line, but not going to be what he needs. Has to wait for a second Stavolo here. Can he get a good run? Will he do it towards Blanchimont? Difficult to tell where we are at night, and sometimes Jake, you'll find us getting a little confused almost sometimes.
You can do, and it's going to be all about how Ericsson tries to make the move. He muscles his way to the insides. They now go too wide in through Blanchimont corner. They hold it together, very respectful between the two. Gave each other a lot of space in, and that allowed the driver of Leskala to have a little bit more freedom. But around the outside at the bus stop, that's a very, very accomplished move then from the driver of Ericsson as Leskala pits then straight away.
He does. Leskala into pit road for his scheduled service, but must give it credit to these two, of course, Jake. Too wide for Blanchimont in GT cars. Oh, I give them credit for that.
I do, and then we've had a change for position here for second position as Mikko Nurmi has made his way through on the driver of Juuso Hietala. So Hietala's day is going from bad to worse. Even his teammate seems to be against him in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see if he can hold that one or get it back, actually, from his teammate Nurmi. But team racing, we've seen a lot of that with Black Star Boys. They do fight amongst each other, but it's typically respectful, Jake, so don't expect a lot of trouble from those boys in this event. We'll take the opportunity, though, to talk about a couple of our sponsors, Jake, so far for this series. RaceSpotTV is a Norwegian car glass franchise with over 110 departments spread across the whole country. They replace and repair glass on any road-going vehicles, guaranteed professional customer service and work.
Yeah, and they do a fantastic job, and they're great sponsors here for the series, Rachel. And well, in terms of how the racing's going here, we haven't actually seen a crash to take anyone out of the race here so far, so no real case to replace some of that glass that we've been seeing here so far. But that's something great to see, that everyone is running a very responsible and a very respectful race here and making sure that they keep themselves on the island towards the end of the event.
It certainly is, Jake. It's almost as though they've got security cameras watching them. They're behaving so well. Those cameras, of course, could be provided by the Norwegian company CU, another sponsor. They're located in southern Norway. They engineer, deliver complete surveillance systems and solutions to state buildings, grocery stores, small companies, industry and private housing, with a high focus on new technology and preparing them for the future. And to get the third and final one just out of the way without it sounding too cheesy, also sponsored by Team Vikings, a Nordic endurance racing team always looking for nice racing challenges and drivers interested in endurance racing. So check them out if you're interested, of course, as we'll keep an eye on the race. Hietala getting up to the back here of Mikko Nurmi, and we could see a fight again for second, Jake.
We could, and Mikko Nurmi here under a little bit of pressure. The gap is half a second, so that really does indicate that maybe Hietala won't be close enough to make that move down into the Lassos hairpin, turn at number 1, and then pushing back up towards the higher parts of the circuit, up the hill. Of course, this used to be public road. This used to be a much longer circuit than it was. Of course, they've shortened that down, made it FIA friendly, up through Eau Rouge and Radion, and that gap opens up again. Mikko Nurmi now trying to turn the screw.
Certainly is. Mikko Nurmi going to do exactly what he can here in this one to try and make his way forwards. This has definitely been interesting in this one so far. Nurmi flashing his headlights, not sure particularly why, both his teammate and him were doing so. That was a little bit of friendly banter there. The guys behind them, Herzog and Ericsson, made his way up to 4th spot there. He's currently, I think, in the region of about 8 seconds back from your top trio, but the times he's been running here, he could definitely catch up. Although last time by, 21-2. 21-2 for the guys ahead, so this gap could stay constant, Jake.
It could. It's also worth taking a look at here, Rachel. The battle between Puhekka and Leskala. Of course, both of them came in with a 1-lap difference. The difference being Jonas Puhekka has lost 4 seconds over his pit stop time over the driver of Leskala. And for Puhekka, that is pretty concerning for him, because now it puts him maybe at the mercy of, say, a Carl Fredrik Herzog, or maybe even a Dali Jankovic if he's not too careful.
It certainly is, and that's one thing they'll have to keep their eyes on in this one to make sure they don't make any mistakes as this event continues onwards. Of course, there is big points in the line, Jake, and that's something we are keeping our eyes on throughout this one. These guys, well, they don't want to make sure they fall short because, well, prizes actually are on the line. The sponsors, of course, providing some of the in each of them, I should say, providing towards these prizes, including $50 for first prize, $30 for second, $20 for third place, and well, there's random prizes as well. 2 random prizes of $15, and one of them is a Lucas dash cam from CU. In fact, this is it coming up here on your screen. We've been told to tell the drivers that the camera, not the lady, goes to one lucky participant, courtesy of CU surveillance. So yeah, you get a dash cam if you're one of the lucky random participants picked out that is in the racing event, of course. That'll be picked after this event. I'm sure we'll hear that from the series organisers in the post-race interviews, so stay tuned to find out who got that. Häkkinen, his gap at the moment, 8.8 seconds here. Still running in the high 20s, Jake. That's absolutely fantastic. He seems unbeatable.
He does, and he's done that gap very well by running some really, really good lap times. In fact, his lap time there was the slowest of his event so far, 2:20.7 that last time by. So Häkkinen just doesn't have to do too much from here, as long as he doesn't speed onto pit road or bin the car in some ridiculous manner. He is going to be safe, and he is going to be home and dry. Mikko Nurmi, though, still under pressure as Juuso Hietala has not given up this race here. From 7 tenths back, he's now right on the rear again as they head down Rivage.
Really is. Those two really haven't separated for the majority of this one, and, well, the teammates staying on top of each other with this one. Hietala is catching Nurmi, but they don't seem to be really going at each other too hard. Of course, we are in the pit window, so they'll have to start doing that soon. Will it be a coordinated effort, or will it be trying to best each other, Jake? And I think with the racing we've seen from the pair of them so far, I think they're out for personal glory in this one. As, oh, you got something.
Yeah, Borge Burns trying to get past Vasiliki, who's just made a pit stop. And that's Borge Burns getting very, very lucky up Eau Rouge. The two came together, nose to rear. And while the shot to the back didn't do too many favours for Borge Burns in the end, who got a huge wiggle up Eau Rouge and survived to see another day. Victor Mulberg is the driver that is next with them. Vasiliki, a very, very lucky lad to still be on the island.
Very much so. Very much so. Very close to being involved in that one. Puhekka, of course, back running after his pit stop early on. He's currently shown down in the 12th spot, but it's not permanent, so we should see him getting his way back up as other drivers start to pit. Interesting strategy from him, though, to go in so early, Jake, at this stage, and it has it's put him back somewhat. Lap time-wise, though, 22s, so a little bit slower than top 3 he was running with.
Yes, and the difference is here with this pit stop window, you've got about 15 minutes to work with here. You pit between minutes 15 and minutes 30 in general. You can try and stretch out to about 32, 33. It depends on how well you've been fuel saving during the event. So it comes down to a fact of when do you want to pit, when can you pit, and who are your rivals. I'm looking at this battle between the 24 and the 13, Patrick Nyborg versus Joachim Svensson. Svensson doing well, as we say that. Down onto pit road comes the driver of Patrick Nyborg. Look how narrow that pit road is, Rachel, because you don't really have any margin for error once you get onto that lane, although you don't expect to crash it coming down onto pit road.
You certainly do not expect to crash going onto pit road. That's mistakes were made territory right there, but he manages to get it through just about. But certainly a little bit of embarrassment, Jake.
Certainly could be Dali Yankovic also on pit road and will get himself out and away with fuel, not tyres. He will see where he will drop himself out in comparison to, and it's an island on his own, Rachel. Dali Yankovic in legitimate nowhere, shall we say, right now.
So this is one of the easier, shall we say, pit exits here from the Eau Rouge Radial, or the Eau Rouge Circuit. Oh, wrong, that's a corner. This is one of the easier exits from the Spa pit road, because it comes out before Eau Rouge Radial, rather than having to run up the endurance exit, up the kind of side road there, which is very difficult to get maximum speed coming off of, and it feeds out onto the straight, so perhaps a little easier in terms of exiting for these guys. They're running the Grand Prix layout here, which does make a different set of challenges for them. But yes, Dali Yankovic there coming out down the pack somewhat, but should filter through nicely with this one once the rest of the field come in. Herzog, Ericsson, Hitala, Nurmi and Häkkinen yet to pit, as have one or two from the rear. The gap is though 9 seconds for your leader. Still banging out those laps. Joni Häkkinen almost unstoppable so far. I think unless he has a mistake on his own at this stage, Jake, he is going to win this.
He comes in.
Nurmi and Hitala, well, they're just behind him and in a good spot. Yes, he does come in fact. Leader onto pit road. Joni Häkkinen heads down onto pit service road now. Good, comfortable lead. Flashing those lights on pit road. We'll see him come in for fuel only on this car. Then he should be down, away and off.
Yeah, the teammates follow as well here between Juice Hitala and Mikko Nurmi. They are nose to tail as they look to try and spot their boxes. Of course, with Hitala finishing in qualifying higher, his box is closer. Häkkinen has hit his box, and you can see Nurmi will stop first in his box. You can also look at Juice Hitala, who gets himself down onto the brakes before getting over again. Häkkinen is gone, and that will be the damning sight for quite a few drivers. Also down in onto lane, Carl Fredrik Herzog decides to come through, as Kim Ericsson. They're all in, but it's Nurmi who wins the chase out of pit road.
It was indeed. He got into his box first. He left his box first, as these guys about halfway, well, no, looking just to come up on the 2/3 mark here, actually, Jake, at this point. So they've done what they had to do. It's about maybe 3/5 perhaps done so far. So this one will be a clean run to the end for these guys on fuel only. Häkkinen running down Kemmel. Pretty simple one for him so far. He's had a patient race. Again, needs to make no mistakes, but we also need to think about incident points, Jake. Some drivers here have picked a few up. Will it be too many?
That is very debatable. We haven't seen too much side-by-side action, so in the case of a circuit which is very, very stringent, shall we say, Rachel, on the off-track penalty points, there might be a case to be made to getting up over 23 during the event, so that'll be something to keep a very close eye on here in the latter stages. Nurmi versus Hitala, though, that one is not done. They are still nose to tails. They head through no-lane corner, the run towards Puon, then the double apex left-hander. Close, but he's not going to be close enough. Hitala will be looking to set up a run and try and get back second position off his teammate.
Certainly will be here, of course, as tries to take that fight to him, but not going to be close enough for that one. Gap to Kim Ericsson. He's not pitted yet. 19 seconds still. Well, he has pitted, I believe, as well. Gap still 19 seconds. So that is a huge one. Insurmountable almost. Another 9 seconds back from his teammates, Hitala and Nurmi. We don't expect to see him joining them, but fourth place from back of the grid is impressive. But look right behind him. Carl Fredrik Herzog gaining here. Of course, they're both just off pit road, so the times will not be represented yet. Herzog, though, has closed the gap there with the pit cycle. Svensson is too far back there, but he's in his own fight with Leskala from behind, and also Bahaka joining that group.
Yes, Julius Bahaka has been putting in some fantastic laps. Leskala's last one was a 2:23.1. Match that with a 2:21.6 from Julius Bahaka. He closed down in 1.5 seconds in that last lap, brought the gap down to about 1.4. That gap now looking at about 1 second to 8 tenths as things stand as they head through Blanchimont corner for Bahaka. it's been about recovery. He's done 8th position after starting in position number 5 on the grid. He's had a couple of moments here and there. Leskler will be a driver that he'll want to get past very quickly here, Rachel, and is in range as they look to cross the start-finish line. Car down on pit road is Joachim Svensson.
Certainly will be, of course, as look at this one here. Pahaka really up the back here of Leskler as they come through La Source up towards Rouge Radial. Good to see an attack here by Jonas Pahaka. Across the endurance start-finish line there, and they'll come up towards the top of Radial there. Good run actually at this stage by Pahaka. He got a better run through Rouge Radial there, Jake. Big advantage. Look how fast he sucks up behind that car on the run down Kemmel. But it's not going to be enough soon enough unless he goes for a dive to the inside. Will he be optimistic? No, stays behind. Patient move.
Has to be patient in this situation. Doesn't have too much to worry about in terms of getting himself up much further in terms of this race. They're past Svensson then for position number 7 on circuits, and now for position number 6. It's going to be pretty much that's it in terms of the way he's going to go. I don't see Pahaka chasing down Herzog on the pace that he's running, being quite close to the driver of Kim Eriksson. That gap between them is about 1.6 seconds when they last cross the line. But for Pahaka, close into Pouon, but this isn't the section of circuit you make the moves. You do it towards Blanchemont. You do it in sectors 1 and 3. Sector 2 is about how quickly you can go.
Certainly is. It's about maintaining speed there. And look at this. Right up on the bumper of him is Jonas Pahaka. Leskler mirror full of Porsche here as they run down towards Stavelo. Things getting tighter. Could be a run for Blanchemont or into the bus stop. We'll keep our eyes on this one because this is definitely hotting up. 7th place on the line for these two. Halfway points paying position, of course. Every point matters down the order, of course. Championship positions throughout the field. Bragging rights, of course, involved in this one. As look at the drag, he gets up the run towards Blanchemont. Backs out for the run though, but gets another better line. Can he throw it up the inside for the bus stop? Will look, but again, not touch.
Will look, but not touch there. He had an ability to maybe send one if he was braver, but he didn't feel brave enough, did Pahaka, so he decided to stay behind, wait for a better opportunity to make the positions count. I do want to talk about Joni Heikkinen. He did a 2:21.3.
Oh, spinning out.
Time by, and a spinner.
Leskler spun in La Source. We're going to replay for you. But, well, put pressure on someone and mistakes get made. As Leskler goes into La Source, locks the rears, round he goes. Comes to a stop facing the inside wall. There you go, replay on your screen. And, well, drops a lot of time, a spot, and quite a bit of his dignity.
I'm not surprised, actually, by that mistake by Leskler. He's been looking quite unsettled with the braking of that vehicle. He's been kicking the tail out quite a bit through practice, through the opening few laps. So for Leskler to make a mistake, maybe you could argue it's a little bit on the cards, but now he sits on an island on his own in no man's land as the gaps open up. I did want to talk about Heikkinen before we got cut away by the driver of Leskler. 2:21.3 is the last lap. He lost half a second against Mikko Nurmi.
Certainly did, of course, and that's going to cost him a fair bit in this one. But right now, Pahaka making track time up to the guys ahead of him. The gap 3 seconds up to Herzog, and this could be a battle for the 5th spot for him as he's moved up to the 6th spot. That'll be one to keep our eyes on. The gap between Herzog, though, and Eriksson has widened. It was 2 seconds, it's now 4, so that one's widening. The gap still, maybe well, it's now 10 seconds actually to Hitala, his teammate. Eriksson looking like he's going to be stuck in perpetual 4th. Not much he can do to gain up to his teammates. The gap between the cars, though, of Nurmi and Hitala still static about a second or just under that, Jake. These two have stayed very close. The gap come down actually to their teammate Heikkinen, who seems to be taking it easy at this stage. Drop the gap down to 7.6 seconds as he will come up the endurance start-finish line here at Spa-Francorchamps. Go through La Source onto his 15th lap. As we'll come just up towards the 10-minute remaining mark, and we're looking at maybe 5 laps at this stage for these guys. He's now so in control, he's dropping off those times to just take it easy, make sure he finishes.
Yeah, he can afford to do that. He's got 7.4 seconds, 5 laps to go, and he only lost 2/10 that last time by, so no real pressure for Häkkinen. He can hot lap his way home, and we do have one vehicle out of the event in the form of the 911 machine. How apt for the driver of Victor Mulberg. Mulberg, just looking at the way he's done that, I believe that is him just pulling that car off the road. I'm not quite too sure on what has happened there to Victor Mulberg, but for Mulberg, oh, it's a big spin, and that's going to be all she wrote.
Certainly is. Well, a quick look here at Berge and Burns running down in the 13th and 14th spot. Other end of the field, but still some action going on here, as it looks like Berge is catching Burns at the moment. Although last time they both had bits of incidents, so Berge has lost a considerable amount of time last time by 250. But this lap he is actually catching on Burns. We'll see if he can try and get back past the number 9 machine. Big gains towards the machine of Burns there, the Team Viking car just up ahead of him. We'll see if he can get through on them. Across the start-finish line they'll go onto their 15th lap as well here. Could be a good one to watch as we come up Kemmel, Jake.
Could be here. Roger Berge, the gap between them 0.8 of a second though, so I doubt we'll see an overtake up through Eau Rouge Radion and up to Lake Coombe. I believe that's just going to be too far back as they pass the endurance pits on the right hand side. Left, right, left, up Eau Rouge, and then Radion, that small kink left up the hill, and well, it's not going to be close enough for the driver of Roger Berge in the 14 machine. For Mikko Nurmi though, he's decided to check out of the Slipstream Hotel. He has completely broken away down Spa-Francorchamps Avenue, shall we say. Jussi Hietala is not going to be anywhere near enough now for a draft, and he is now resigned to 3rd position.
Yeah, certainly is. Resigned back there, but doing what he can to try and get back up to his teammate. The two of them have fought, but the patience does seem to have kicked in at this stage. Funny, seeing as Hietala actually was the faster of the drivers in qualifying, Jake, so that's one we perhaps didn't expect to see in this order. Faster by the order of about 0.3 over his teammate Nurmi. So unusual that we're not seeing him fight back in the same way. Last time by, leader Häkkinen 20.5, so not actually backing off at all in time. His gap is remaining static here at about 7.5 seconds, but his times are very, very rapid. Teammates Nurmi and Hietala doing almost identical times to him, so that's why we're seeing this definite improvement, apart from Hietala's mistake last time by that cost him that spot.
Yeah, it has cost him just a bit here, and well, the fact that it is costing him is actually spinner in the form of Svensson there in the 13 at Eau Rouge, at La Source even, drops himself 1 position to the driver of Jonas Vastamarki. So Joachim Svensson, that's a mistake that we saw Leskala make there. Very, very similar, just being a little bit too greedy down on the corner, which actually has itself a little bit of a dip to the inside of it. He lost the rear before on turning, actually, shall we say there, Rachel. On turning, he lost the rear end. So for Joachim Svensson, that was just a case of turning under brakes.
Certainly was, so we'll keep our eyes on how that one will go. Turning under the braking is never a good idea, especially the Porsche with its rear engine mounting. Definitely a tail that wags at times, Jake, in this machine, but Kim Eriksson's timing to teammate is 10 seconds still. That one hasn't changed. Herzog is still staying up there in the 5th spot, although gaps coming down between him and Pahaka. Pahaka's brought it down to 3. Last time by 21.9 for Pahaka, with a 22.2 for Herzog. So it's close, but it's not going fast enough. Times are going to run out. We're looking at about 6 minutes remaining, so 2 laps, realistically maybe 3 at this stage. Jake, can he eat away 3 seconds in 3 laps?
No. Very bluntly, no. I don't think Pahaka's got an opportunity to really close that down, that gap back down again. Then I think Herzog's a little bit too far away. The 14.9 though for P13, that final positions up on the field close again. They're running 224s, 225s, but Roger Berge, you know, for all of that, you can get close. The old Murray Walker adage comes into mind: catching is one thing, passing is another. They will also have to be careful in the final stages of this event, Rachel. They're losing 5 seconds a lap to the likes of, say, Joni Häkkinen It is a 220 lap. If they start fighting too hard and they start knocking 6s and 7s out of each other, they might be lapped.
Yeah, they certainly could be, of course, but they are fighting hard, and I think at this stage they know they're not going to win the race, so you might want to fight regardless. Because, well, fighting's a lot more fun than just following each other line astern in a motorsport like this. You're right, the leaders are going to be catching up fairly soon. Mulberg, of course, the only driver out at this stage. He's 2 laps down in pit road there getting service. These guys, of course, heading through the Stavolo corners at the moment. And Häkkinen, well, he's just going through Pouillon, so yes, okay, Ericsson has spun.
Ericsson spun.
Right.
Yeah, that's...
We'll get a replay of what happened. Jake, take us through that one.
Yeah, it's coming out of Malmedy. He mounts the curb a little bit too much. He's trying to save it, gives up on it and decides turning the car around is a much better strategy. In that opinion, he's lost the position back to Herzog, so there is work more to do for the driver of Kim Ericsson.
Certainly is. He could definitely have a fight on their hands between them now, as the speeds were close, but Ericsson's definitely had an edge in performance so far. Let's see what he can do with this in the closing moments of the race. 4 minutes left on the play clock, actually, I believe, at the moment, so we'll see if this one plays down the way we're expecting, Jake, but not a lot of time to make a big difference. He'll have to really push.
He will have to push here, and for Kim Ericsson, that gap is about a second as things stand, but was 0.6 of a second quicker on the last lap. Herzog was pretty much resigned to 5th position at the time, but now he's seen Ericsson go past. He's now got to play the defensive game as he heads onto a new lap. Round the start-finish line goes Joni Häkkinen, 40 minutes and 23 seconds. If I can do some mental maths on my head, that is just about going to be 3 laps to go in this event. And 3 laps to go here. I don't think Herzog has the ability to hold off for 3 laps, because look at Ericsson. He is already on the back.
He certainly is. The gap's really come down there, Jake, so far. Herzog, well, the speed's just not been in it for him. Last time by, obviously, Ericsson had the spin, but Herzog's lap was a 21.8. Ericsson's been running much faster now. He's running high 20s, so I expect to see Ericsson on the attack. He already is. They'll come up the start-finish line towards Rouge Radial. That purple Black Star Racing machine of Ericsson already on the attack, looking for a line to make the move here on Carl Fredrik Herzog. As they come up towards the top of Radial and just carrying more speed, Jake. Already gaining early on. He's right in the bumper as they head past the Formula 1 DRS markers. Of course, not in use for this event, but as along the side as they'll run down towards Lecum. Does he get ahead in time? He has the line. Can he hold it tight this time? He's gone wide in the past. He does just hold it. Makes the pass to Lecum on the outside. Nicely done, Kim Ericsson.
Yeah, very nicely done. And all that came out of not even Eau Rouge last source. I'll get it wrong for the second time in this broadcast, shall we say. Came out of last source. Carl Fredrik Herzog had a big wiggle trying to apply the power down, and all that did was close that gap, close that gap, close that gap. And for Ericsson, that was probably one of the more easier moves he's had to make during this race here, Rachel. And you can't be surprised by the way that Kim Ericsson has recovered from that spin. You had the bit between his teeth throughout that entirety of the lap, and he's made that move, and quite crucially though, the mistake is going to allow Jonas Puheka maybe half a chance of sniffing the back of Herzog.
That could be one we'll keep our eyes on, of course, and see whether that can make a difference. Puheka, though, I don't think close enough here with the time we have remaining. That'd be interesting to see if they can do, though. Your front 3 drivers, 9 seconds gap between Häkkinen and teammate Nurmi. Well, he's got 2 seconds of a teammate Hitala, so that one's split up here for the front, and if they finish in the order they are in, well, Häkkinen takes the championship exactly as expected. Hitala should take 2nd place, I believe. Jake looking at the points. Nurmi, I believe, looking at about 3rd or 4th.
Looking at 3rd or 4th, I believe this is going to be the final lap of the event, if my math serves me correct. 2 minutes 21 from here would tick us just about over 45 minutes here, Rachel, by about 5 seconds. So, final lap of the event, it's been pretty straightforward for Joni Häkkinen. Hasn't been challenged at all. Holds a 9-second gap over Mikko Nurmi. And to be honest, I think he's only been challenged once. Puheka's out of fuel, though, going on to the final lap. He'll have to do a splash and dash. I told you it was a little bit too early for him. And you know what? I've been proven right.
Wow, absolutely way too, well, just too early there. I was about to say way too early, but no, just too early. By about a lap for Jonas Puheka. heartbreak for him losing those spots he will lose heading onto pit road. But advantage for the likes of Leskala, who will gain a spot in this one, and probably Jankovic as well, Jake. So he's in, banging off the limiter as he just gets a tiny dash of fuel. Oh, he seemed to go up on Jax. What did he do there? That was interesting.
Tyres.
I didn't expect to see him take tyres for one lap.
That's a mistake there from Julius Peheka. You get on the radio, you tell your crew, I don't want tyres, and he didn't tell his crew
second
he didn't
stop,
want tyres.
yes.
And
didn't have it reset up.
No, he didn't. So that's going to mean for Julius Peheka, he's now with Patrick Nyborg, so that's position number 10 out on circuit. That's a huge admission of an error from him.
Oh, massive, of course. For those who don't know, you can set your pit stop up in iRacing, but it doesn't hold for every pit stop. It only stops for the next one you take. So after that one, everything resets to default, including taking tyres whether you want them or not. So obviously forgetting to uncheck that one has put him in a sticky spot, because it should have been a literal splash of fuel, Jake, and off he went. But instead, up on the air jacks he went, and at that point, he knew he'd messed up.
He did here, and well, for Joni Heiken, it's been straightforward. He rounds past Blanchimont and now looks for the final chicane, Rachel.
He does indeed, through the bus stop for the final time tonight. Joni Heikkinen will win round number 4 here at Spa-Francorchamps, along with the championship here in the Nordic Challenge. A fantastic run for the Black Star Racing Championship driver. And over Spa-Francorchamps and the Belgian hills of the Ardennes, fireworks erupt for Joni Heikkinen.
They do, and it's been a sensational drive, and well, Juuso Hietala could only manage P3. Here's the other championship rival. Kim Eriksson had a lot to do and was hoping for a little bit of luck here today. It wouldn't be forthcoming, and Kim Eriksson's outside shot will remain an outside shot here. Holds off Herzog, though, for position number 4.
Just manages to in the end there, so we'll go through those when they finish up order-wise, but we'll take a quick look back at Burns and Burge. The gap was closed, it's now about 3 seconds, so that one's widened up. But the rest of your field will come across the line to end this event. Here comes Jankovic coming through the bus stop for the final time. These guys have put in some fantastic racing so far this season, Jake. It's been absolutely fantastic to be able to commentate this one as the rest of them come to the bus stop. Svensson and Vastamaki super close there, but Vastamaki will hold him off just in time to run across that start-finish line and claim 98. Oh no, Svensson actually got ahead, so Svensson there made it through in the last seconds, taking that spot from Val Racing. But it has been a fantastic season so far. The 4 rounds, of course, this is our final one. We've had a blast, Jake. This racing's been amazing.
It has, and it's been a clinic from certain drivers at the front. We still had some side-by-sides all throughout here, the 4 races of the championship, although it was a little bit low on the ground, shall we say, in terms of numbers for the final race. Action didn't disappoint around here, and well, the final cars will be trying to get themselves home and dry, and well, it's been a great game and a great result regardless.
Certainly has, and well, we'll go to those results to now. Taking home the win in the championship, Joni Heikkinen with a fantastic result for him. Mikko Nurmi in second place with Juuso Hietala in the 3rd spot. Kim Eriksson back in the pack to 4th, climbing 11 spots in that position. Carl-Fredrik Herzog in 5th place, and Jukka Leskala in 6th. Dali Jankovic in the 7th spot with Joachim Svensson in the 8th spot. Jonas Vastamaki in 9th with Jonas Buhaka in 10th spot. Patrick Nyborg in 11th. Kim Svensson, Roger Burge, Borge Burns, and Victor Mullerberg in 15th and final position. Well, that's our final run through on the positions, folks. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, but join us straight away afterwards because we come back with post-race interviews, so don't go anywhere.
Åh, vad tråkigt. Det här måste du fixa på en gång, annars blir det dyrt.
Steinsprut får du uansett hvordan du kjører. Ris bilglass fikser steinsprut kostnadsfritt ved kasko eller delkasko. Ring 0909 eller besøk bilglass.no.
Welcome back to the Nordic Challenge here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Rich White for Jake Sperry bringing you the action, and now post-race interviews. Now we once again haven't got our championship winner and race winner Joni Häkkinen, but we have got some of his teammates, so we'll chat to them. Next up, we have with us right now Juuso Hietala, and we also have the driver of Mikko Nurmi. Mikko, we'll come to you first. Second place today. Close battle for most of the race with your teammate Hietala. Good fun out there in the dark?
Yeah, it was good fun. And, well, I don't know really what else to say. Had a nice fight there on the through Les Combes to Pujon, so maybe it was on the show.
It was certainly on the show for you too. You had some good racing there. This track, very familiar to most racers in the daytime, but just give us an idea of the challenges this place has at night.
Yeah. Oh well, go ahead.
I'll answer. It was actually quite challenging in the dark because you don't have the visual brake marks that you have during the day.
It's a lot more difficult for these guys than perhaps they would normally say. So a real challenge racing here at night, especially racing other cars. We saw a lot of you guys, we'll come to you for this one, Juuso, trying to make, looking like they were going to make moves they'd make during the daytime, dives up the inside of corners. You guys really weren't taking those moves, again, because of the visual references?
Yeah, that's one reason, and the other is the incidents, since I was quite close to the incident limit, so I didn't want to do anything stupid.
Absolutely. Well, either way, second place for Mikko Nurmi and third place for you, Juuso Hietala, in the third spot. Of course, your team locking out 1, 2 and 3 here. Also, I believe in the points, which we'll be able to find out soon from one of the event organisers, Carl Fredrik Herzog, has just joined us now. Carl, you do have our final points, yes?
Yes, we do. We have Joni Häkkinen as winner, 195 points. We have Juuso Hietala second, 166 points. Then we have Mikko Nurmi third, 138 points, just ahead of Kim Eriksson with 135 points.
So things very close between the Black Star Finns there at the end. Fantastic for all of your team, guys. Congratulations. Of course, your teammate's shy as ever, so we won't be able to get to see him for this one. But we had you two here at least. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to, any sponsors?
Thanks to Joel Real Timing and Nukkarepo Graphic Design who designed our logo.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
Well, we'll come to Carl for his feedback on his race actually next, because you were in 5th, Carl. Looked like a tough one out there.
Yeah, well, overall I'm actually very happy with 5th. I wasn't expecting such a good result. In the end I was close to being very lucky when Kim had his spin, but well, he was too fast in the end.
Certainly was, of course, and well, racing is racing, but it's been a great championship.
Yeah, we're quite happy with the level of the Finns. We are not so happy about the attendance today. We're hoping for more like 30 like last time. But well, probably this was not a good day for racing.
Perhaps not. It's definitely a very busy weekend for watching motorsports, so people are perhaps a little busy today.
Yeah, so we will make sure to plan better for next time.
It's definitely been fantastic having you guys from the Nordic Challenge, and we've enjoyed the season, so thank you so much, Carl.
Yeah, and thank you very much to all of you from RaceSpot. Excellent broadcasting.
We absolutely appreciate it, and of course, let's not forget the series sponsors, RaceSpotTV, CU Surveillance, and of course, the Team Vikings endurance racing team. So, thank you, Carl.
Yeah. I just wonder, did you mention our random draw prize?
No, because we haven't had... Well, we mentioned what the prizes were. Do you know the numbers of who won them?
Yes, we have Roger Burge won the dash cam from CU.
Congratulations, Roger.
And we have $15 in credits for both Joachim Svensson and Kim Salvesen.
Awesome, Joachim Svensson, and it was Kim Salvesen winning the $15 of credits with, of course, yes, Hugo, Joni Häkkinen get the championship. And it was Roger Burge, you said, at number 14, taking home the dash cam. So fantastic for him. And congratulations to all those guys, including, of course, Black Star Racing taking those top 3 positions and the paying spots.
Congratulations to all winners.
Absolutely. Congratulations to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, Carl Frederick Herzog, coming on today himself in 5th place, one of the organisers here. We'll chat to you afterwards, Carl, but we'll just have a quick chat to 2 more drivers, and then we'll wrap things up. So we'll see you in a moment. Next up, Jake is standing by with Jonas Vastamaki here, who came home today in the 9th spot.
Jonas started 7th, finished 9th. The day falled away from you just a little bit. So for you today, Mr. Vastamaki, it just seemed to be that it was just one small bridge too far today.
Yeah, there's something with pit entries and myself that's wrong, so I definitely have to practice those. I hit my front and rear was down on straight line speed, steering was tilted, so it was really a struggle to get the car home from there.
But still, you managed to get the car home in position number 9. You lost the position to Joachim Svensson in the final stages of that event. Are you happy with P number 9? Do you feel that maybe there was a lot more to be given, seeing as the fact that you were up there and scrapping it out quite nicely in the early stages?
Yeah, for sure there was more available from me today, but stupid mistakes cost the car for me, and then it was just a struggle to finish, but at least I had a nice fight with Svensson, so not too bad at all.
Not too bad indeed, and of course, you know, where are we going to be seeing Jonas Vastamaki next? What's the next game plan then for the next upcoming season?
Currently I don't have any game plans right now, so we'll see.
We'll see indeed. Jonas Vastamaki coming home in position number 9 overall, Rachel.
Thank you very much, Jake. And, well, next up we'll have a quick chat to Jonas Pahaka. Jonas, well, that didn't go to plan, did it? In the end.
No, it went up to the plan just fine until I spun, and then I had a little bit of an issue with calculating the fuel.
Yeah, you had a very early pit stop, didn't you?
Yeah, and there is a little bit of a trick to that. Do you remember, I think it was Spa 24 hours a couple of years ago, Glacier Racing for GD, what they did back then?
I do remember.
Yes, exactly. That.
Yeah, we saw you had some issues there and unfortunately dropped a bunch of spots, but overall, to be fair, the result is somewhat of a lie because you had a great race in terms of your speed.
Well, yeah, I don't usually drive these GD cars anymore. I'm more of an open-wheeler guy. So I was happy with my pace. I think I could have been challenging car for P5 without that spin, and of course without running out of fuel. So I'm happy with that, you know.
Well, it certainly was a good performance, even if the result belies that. Thank you so much for joining us, Jonas. Anybody you'd like to give a shout-out to from the team?
Oh, well, shout-out to Inertia Sim Racing, and shout-out also to our sponsors, CU and Real Spillglass, as well as the Team Vikings teams. And shout-outs also to Tour Anders Berven, Carl Fredrik Herzog, Hans-Gunnar Hansen, and Tuomas Hautaniemi, alongside who created this wonderful series. And I would just like to say that thank you very much for watching, thank you very much for joining the races to everyone, and thank you for broadcasting. Good night.
Thank you for being here and racing, and it was fantastic to see you. So thank you so much for joining us today. Jonas Pahaka coming home today in the 10th spot. Well, Jake, a fantastic final race for a fantastic season. Nordic Challenge this year has been a lot of fun.
It has, and everyone's been pushing, and the level of performance has been a lot higher from other years. And, well, it's safe to say that with the performance so high, you start attracting some of the best drivers in the world of sim racing. And, well, Joni Heikkinen has certainly proven that today with a title victory.
He certainly has. Well, folks, with that, we wrap things up for the Nordic Challenge 2017. They'll be back, I'm sure. The racing's been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. We'll see you next time. Good night.